right, everybody, we're back again, and today we're going to be talking about calculating profit in the mobile home course. This is obviously probably one of the biggest things out of the whole thing. You know, going out and buying a mobile home is great, but knowing what you're going to be able to sell it for and the returns you're going to be able to get from that sale is critical to even before purchasing the unit. You should be able to have this figured out and calculated. So I'm going to go through that with you today. So part of calculating profit and cash flow through the end of this course, you should be able to quickly and accurately determine the potential profit from a deal. I'm going to go through several scenarios with you, 3, 4, 5 different scenarios. We're going to go through. If you have not done a 10B2 calculator if you do not have a 10B2 calculator, you're going to need one. You can get one out of the Google Play Store or the App Store for iPhones. 10, like the number 10, 10, the letter B is in boy, 10B. 2 is the calculator we're going for. 10B, and then the letter II, lowercase ii, 10B2 calculator. So if you have not done that yet, go out there and download that. You're going to need that to complete this class and do mobile home investing. By the end of this course, though, you should be able to determine what the resale value of that home is going to be and then calculate your cash-on-cash return for that purchase. All right. Getting this piece figured out, though, or getting the resale value of this figured out, for me, is not a set in stone scientific method. It's kind of got a bit of a scientific method to it with a gut response at the end. So this is how I do it. I can't go through and tell you this is exactly how you're going to do it. And what I do is probably different than most other people, or at least to some other people. So once you go through this, I'm giving you my process. Other people might look at this a little different. But ultimately, this transaction type is used for the end buyer that has challenge credit or would otherwise not qualify for traditional lending. Remember, my end buyer is not going to be the person with an 850 credit score that's got $6 million sitting in the bank account. That's not who's buying these homes from me. These people that are buying homes from me are often the people that have poor credit. They've had issues in their past, and they are on a fixed income. But they're looking for safe, clean, and affordable housing, of which I can provide. And by doing that, I'm able to create a win-win scenario for these people. But ultimately, the biggest thing that I find when working with these buyers is not the total price of the unit being sold. It is the monthly price that they can purchase it for. Like, you know, I know that at the end of the month, I can afford to spend $800 on my housing. And if I can spend $800 on my housing and you can provide me a mobile home that I will own in 5 years for $800 a month, then that is a good deal for me. I don't care if by the time it's all said and done with, I paid $28,000 for the home. All I'm worried about is, can I pay $800 a month and own it in 5 years? So if you can set up transactions like this for these people, you will have buyers set up to come in here and get these mobile homes from you. Remember, we're dealing with cash buyers. Just like if I look at a tote the note car lot, you know, buy here, pay here car lot, those car lots are tailored, and they're working with the exact same people that we're working with, people with challenge credit and a fixed monthly income, where they're not worried about the price of the car, they're worried about the monthly payment. That's what we're doing. All right. So step 1 of this process for me is going to be finding rental comps for this specific mobile home. My simplest way to do this, though, is just to go out to websites like Propelio. Propelio can provide you comps across the nation, as well as Rent-A-Meter. Rent-A-Meter does have some solid rental comps. If we go through there, though, this is going to help me ballpark how much homes of a similar bed size and bath are going to rent for. You know, if I've got a mobile home that's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet, what do homes, stick-built homes, and apartment homes rent for that are similar in size and condition? That is important for me. And I'm going to go through this a lot in this class because it's probably one of my most important numbers. So in my specific submarket, let's say my mobile home park is in, 76013. Well, what do other homes and apartments in 76013 rent for on average? That's going to be a good thing for you to figure out. Let me explain why. Okay, houses versus apartments. The reason I'm asking this is because I can assume that I could likely sell my mobile home on payments for a price point that is somewhere between the cost to rent a single family home and the cost to rent an apartment complex of a similar size and configuration, beds, baths, and square footage. So just throw some random numbers out there. Let's say a single family home that's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot rents for $1,000 a month. in 76013. And I've also got an apartment that's a 1,200 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath, and it rents for $800 a month in 76013. So I now know that I can rent an apartment for $800 and I can rent a single family home for $1,000. Where I am trying to get my numbers is to figure out, is there a price point between those two, being homes and apartments, that I could place my mobile home at as a monthly payment. So if my apartments are renting for $800 a month and my houses are renting for $1,000 a month, I could probably get my mobile home to sell somewhere between $800 to $1,000 a month. That's just the math that I'm throwing out there for you. So, all right, let's take a look at this. What rate am I going to finance this property for? You know, I'm not going to just, give it to them at $500 a month or $600 a month, $800 a month, $900 a month. There's going to be an interest rate charged on that promissory note as well. How do I know what that interest rate's going to be? What I'm going to do is what I've done in the past is I take a look at LIBOR. If you don't know what the LIBOR is, just go out to Google, say LIBOR, prime rates today, or prime rate today, whatever, and you'll figure out what LIBOR is. And I try to set my interest at somewhere around LIBOR plus 5 to 10%. Okay, LIBOR plus 5 to 10% right now. I don't know what LIBOR is at right now, probably like around 2 or 3%. So if I add 5 to 10% on that, that ends me somewhere between 7 to 12%, 7 to 13%, somewhere in that range. But that's not always where I'm going to do it. That's just going to kind of be my ballpark start. I'm going to try and get my interest at least double digit, somewhere around 10%. But I need to be aware of state usury laws. I don't know what usury laws are across all states. Make sure you go look that up. That's U-S-U-R-Y, usury laws. So Texas, I believe, currently set at 18%. So you can't charge more than 18% unless you have certain qualifying factors involved. But I would never get anywhere close to my state usury rate. Look those up in yours. All right, so I've discussed kind of where I think my rent payments are going to be. I think they're going to be, let's just for this example say somewhere between $800 to $1,000 a month, because I can rent an apartment for $800, I can rent a stick-built home for $1,000. I can imagine my mobile home is going to land somewhere in between there. I now know that I'm going to charge probably somewhere between the low side of 8% to the high side of 11, 12% on this note. So now I know what interest rate I'm going to charge. I now know what my monthly cost is going to be. This is where we're going to need that 10B2 calculator. Remember earlier I said 10B2. Well, that's it right there. 10BII calculator. Pause the video, take a break, open up your phone, download it. It's like $4 or $5. If you can't handle the $4 or $5, you might be able to find a free version somewhere else. But this app is important to you. It's incredibly important to you to be able to figure these formulas out. So once you get that downloaded, I am not going to teach you how to use that thing. I am not going to teach you how to use a 10B2 calculator. If you do not know how to use a 10B2 calculator, go to Grant Kemp's video series. It's here in the Academy. Go to the Academy, and there's a series out there, I believe it's called How to Owner Finance a House Sub-2 Wrap, something along those lines. Grant Kemp teaches it. Open that video series up, and there's a section in there on the 10B2 calculator where he spends like 15 to 20 minutes teaching you how to use a 10B2 calculator. So instead of me going through and trying to teach you, I'll just let Grant teach you, and then you come back and continue watching this video. All right, so now that I know that you know how to use a 10B2 calculator, what am I going to sell my home for? I'm going to start by plugging in a 5-year loan term into my 10B2 calculator. What that means is a 5-year loan term would be 5 times 12 months, which would end up being 60 months. 5 times 12, 60 months. So I'm going to put 60 months in my number of payments on my 10B2 calculator. And then I want a interest rate of around, let's just go ahead and throw in 12%. With a LIBOR plus 10 interest. Let's just call it 12%. And a total, so if you look at your 10B2 calculator, you're going to have an interest field on there. That interest field put in 12%. All right. And a total loan payment that is more than an apartment but less than a single family home, and then solve for present value. Well, what we've been talking about this whole time right now is $800 versus $1,000. So let's just put it right there in the middle, and let's just say it's $900 a month for rent. Okay. That's going to go into your payment field. And then once you've put that into your payment field, you're going to have to solve for present value, PV. So you're going to have a payment probably PMT, that's going to be 900, put that up there. And then when you click on the button that says PV, that'll show you what the principal value of that note should be based upon those loan terms with those interests, that length of term, the amortization of it, the interest rate, and the payment that solves for the value. All right, that's where we're at right now. That value is going to be skewed because we forgot to do one thing. I told you $900 is what the payment's going to be. All right, so if we're looking at $900 for a payment, let's take a look at this. My throat is incredibly sore, so excuse me if I'm all just going crazy up here. But if I'm looking at a $900 monthly payment on that mobile home, we didn't subtract from that lot rent. Lot rent needs to be included in that value. So if lot rent is $450 a month and I'm charging $900 a month for it, my monthly payment is $450. Does that make sense? $900, lot rent, let's just call lot rent $500, so that way it's easy math. And then what's left over is $400. Well, $400 is my payment. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, $900, $500 of it goes to lot rent, $400 of it goes to me. So let's plug $400 into the payment section on that 10B2 calculator. Type 400 in and then hit the PMT. And then once we know that, let's go ahead and hit PV, and we should have that adjusted value changed. That's kind of where I'm ballparking my initial offering of that home for sale for. I'm going to imagine it probably came in somewhere around $28,000, somewhere around that range. But the total loan payment must include lot rent and utilities if I comped all bills paid rentals, as well as your principal and interest payment. So that $900, like if I'm looking at my comparable apartments and they're $800 all bills paid, that includes electric, gas, water, well then I'm gonna have to think about that as well whenever I'm calculating my payment. Maybe that apartment really isn't renting for $800 a month. Maybe that apartment's renting for more like $730 a month or $725 a month because I've got electric and utilities tacked on top of that. So if I'm going to take that into consideration, I'm going to need to look at my mobile home, kind of gauge what my utilities will cost and back those out of the cost because I'm not including an all bills paid unit here. Get those things working up there. All right. So bingo, that's the face value of my note. But, and this is where my gut comes in, what condition is my home in? What kind of park am I in? You know, does that compare with my apartments? Does that compare with my single family rentals? Does that or my single family residences? You know, what if my home doesn't quite look nearly as good as some of those? I've given you the idea of how to come up with a real quick and dirty retail value. Well, what happens if, you know, all of the homes are nicer than my mobile home? All right. Let's make some adjustments. If the mobile home is a little older than those in the park, and it does not look comparable in condition to what is around that has leased, you may need to adjust the length of the term. Remember before I said it was going to be a 5-year note? Well, maybe I'll be able to talk to these people and say, you know what, let's do a 4-year note and we'll reduce the purchase price. Because if I make these payments the exact same and I don't change my payments, I just reduce the number of years that they're paying me down to 4 from 5. Instead of it being $28,000, let's say it's $23,000 or $22,000. I might be able to get away with that because the homes are not as nice as the apartments or houses nearby. Other things I might be able to adjust is the purchase price. Maybe I could leave my 5-year term there, but instead of selling it for 28, I still stay at 5 and sell it for 22 and possibly adjust my interest a little bit. Ultimately, though, I could also adjust the monthly payment to accommodate a better buyer to reduce that. But what I don't want to do is mess with that monthly payment too much because that monthly payment is exactly where I receive my cash-on-cash return from. If I start reducing my payment drastically, my cash-on-cash returns go down significantly as well. So I try to always work through 1 and 2, and you'll learn that in the calculator, how to adjust 1 and 2. But ultimately, I'd like to keep my monthly payment the same. I might be able to change the principal value. I might be able to change the length of term. I might be able to do a small combination of both. I might be able to adjust interest rates a little bit because I'm not as worried about the interest as I am the monthly payment. I can make adjustments to all of these things, and this is kind of coming from the gut. This is hard for me to teach you from a scientific standpoint. This is just what I'm doing and how I look at it. Okay, so let's do a practice run real quick. Apartment rents are an average of $700 a month in the area, and single-family residents are about $900 a month. This puts my anticipated total monthly payment at $800 a month. My comps were not all bills paid, and lot rent is $375 per month, making my anticipated payment $425 per month. Does that make sense? What I did there was I kind of ballparked between my apartments and my houses for $800 a month. I subtracted out my lot rent, which was $375. That leaves $425 left to account for a payment to me. All right. So if rents are $700, single family rentals are $900, total $800. That's kind of what I'm looking at there. Lot rent $375, anticipated payment $435. I actually think it was $425, but excuse my typo there. All right. If I want an even 10% interest based on current LIBOR plus 8% and a 5-year payoff, let's plug that into a 10B2 to get our resale value. Okay, 10% is going to go into your interest field. You're going to put 5-year payoff, which would be 60 months. That's going to go into your the in field. That's going to be your number of payments. That's 60 payments. 10% interest, 5-year payoff, and I want a payment of $425 a month. So if I take that payment, I know there's a typo up there. It says $435, but it should be $425. If I put $425 into the payment section, I should then be able to tap on PV. And whenever I tap on PV, it should tell me what my resale value is. Once you've gotten that, I'm going to ballpark it somewhere to be $20,000 to $30,000. Okay? I hope you got that. Okay? Boom. That's how I got my final numbers. Let me go ahead and go through that with you just so I know for a fact that y'all did it. Here, I got my phone right here. I'm going to open it up. Okay, sorry, got distracted for a second. Dealing with problems. All right, let me get a 10B2 calculator open up real quick. All right, so I don't know if y'all can really see that, but that's the app y'all should be using. Okay, so what I wanted was a 60-month term. So if I see up here in the top, I got that N right there, and I plug 60 into the N. Right next to that, I got I/YR. That's the interest yield per year, or interest rate, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm going to plug in 10% there, so I type in 10. Once I type 10 in, I hit IYR, and that updates that field for me. Now I've got the payment section, the PMT. I've got $425 a month as the payment, so I type in $425, as you can see that there, and then once I've typed in $425, I'll tap payment, and that'll update that field. So once I've done all that, I tap PV without doing anything else, and that shows my present value to be $20,000. Right at $20,000, $20,002.78. So that's what my anticipated resale value on that unit would be. Does that make sense? Hope so. All right, moving on. So that is how I get my final numbers. If you want to keep this, I want you to keep your mind open though. What I'm providing to you is not scientific process. It is essentially my best educated guess. You know, that is about what I'm anticipating I should be able to do. I've never introduced a property to the market that I wasn't able to sell it on these kinds of terms for. Where you might start finding some resistance is the total purchase price. And if the total purchase price is, you know, someone comes in and like, man, I don't want to pay $28,000 for that home. Be like, all right, well, would you take it for 22? All right, well, they take it for 22, I up my interest rate. Or I extend out my loan terms. You know, I'll start adjusting other things so that way my payment stays the same. Because it's my payment that is the most important to me. Things I would be very wary of using whenever trying to calculate retail value is not a blue book values. If you've ever heard of not a blue book, they have values for mobile homes. Do not use them. They are not a good solution. It's just not. Kelly Blue Book values, same boat. Not a good solution. And then other homes available in your market. That can also be misleading, because where that home is located is a very significant factor as to how they are sold. Like if you have a really nice mobile home park with lots of amenities, volleyball courts, basketball courts, swimming pools, putting greens, all kinds of wonderful things around it, homes in that area have a higher demand than one that's in a, let's say, a 2-star park. 2-star park versus 5-star park. Homes are going to sell for different values. So I try not to use other homes in my market other than the ones within my specific sub-market. I want those homes. And if I can find homes that have sold in that area, perfect. But home values of mobile homes are not documented like on the MLS on any grand scale. So it gets a little bit difficult. Okay, so let's run through a couple scenario runs. I find an abandoned unit at a mobile home park, and I talk to the manager and talk them into a $1,200 purchase. Walking the unit, it needs a full paint inside and out, flooring and a window unit. I anticipate $4,000 in costs. Based on the park area and local rents, I think I can get about $750 a month for total monthly payments. So if I break this down, I'm looking at $1,200 to purchase, $4,000 in repairs, $5,200 all in on cash. It's very simple math up until now. I'm $5,200 into this for purchase and repairs. Based upon local rents and everything else that I've figured out, I think I can sell it for $750 a month. At $750 a month, backing out lot rent and everything else, I calculated that my resale could be around $24,000 using the method I applied earlier in this class. I requested and received $2,000 down. So I financed $22,000 total. The terms, 5 years at 6%. You should be able to plug this into your 10B2. $22,000 would be my present value. 5 years, so the payments would be 60 payments. And the IYR, also known as your interest, is going to be 6%. $425 a month for the payment, $325 for the lot rent, $750 is my total payment. How do I determine what my cash on cash return is? Cash on cash return should be how you decide your go, no go with these mobile homes, at least in my opinion. Cash on cash means how much of an ROI did my cash bring directly? There's a big difference between ROI and cash on cash. ROI is the total yield on the entire investment as a whole. Cash on cash is your yield from your cash only. More videos are on that in the academy. I'm not going to get too deep on that. Okay? Cash on cash. How am I going to determine what my cash on cash return is for that? So I'm getting $425 a month. All right? We're looking at that. $425 a month. That is my cash flow. That's my cash payment. That is my loan payment. It's true cash flow. I don't have any utilities. I don't have any expenses. I don't have any maintenance. It's a note. That's true cash flow. $425 a month times 12 months. What's that end up being? I'm going to let y'all do that real quick. I'm going to do that over here on my calculator as well. 425 times 12. It's $5,100 received this year alone from that mobile home. Okay? Well, how much was I into this unit for? I bought it for $5,200 all in. $1,200 in cash, $4,000 in repairs, $5,200 all in. And then when I sold it, I collected a $2,000 down payment. So how much money am I exposed on this particular mobile home? Well, if I take $5,200 minus the down payment of $2,000, that means I have $3,200 at risk. Well, if I take $3,200 and I divide $3,200, so I take $3,200 divided by, and what was my total monthly payments for $425 a month times 12 months? That was $5,100. So $3,200 divided by $5,100. Oh, excuse me. $5,100 is my total divided by $3,200. That equals a 159% cash on cash return. You following me there? I'm going to go through that one more time. One more time, real fast. $5,200 minus $2,000 down is $3,200. That is my total risk, money at risk at the time of sale. I am bringing in $425 a month times 12 months equals 5,100. 5,100 divided by the amount of money that I have invested, the amount of money that I received divided by the amount of money that I invested equals 1.59%, which means you have a 159% return on your investment. Now, if you've got a small dollar IRA or you've got a 401k with a little bit of cash sitting on the side, or let's just say you got 10 grand sitting in your bank and you're looking to create a better return for it. I cannot find a better return for it than mobile home investing that is solid and secured. Is there risks? Yes, we'll talk about that in another class. Could somebody steal your mobile home? Could someone burn your mobile home down? Yes, all of those things are a risk. But if I look at this from a strict cash-on-cash return, I deploy $5,200. I receive back almost immediately $2,000, leaving my exposed capital at $3,200. My risk in this deal right now is $3,200. I only have to have 10 on-time payments, or just 10 payments, period, and I've got all my money back. The next 4 years of this investment is just gravy. There is no money risked anymore. So if I can get through at least 10 months with this buyer, I'm good to go. There's not a whole lot of risk there anymore. So definitely what I would take into consideration, a solid investment, my opinion. All right, 159% cash on cash return. Scenario number 2. I find a FSBO and I'm gonna go ahead and buy it for $6 grand. Walk in the unit, I need $2,000 in repairs, putting me up to about $8 grand total all in. And based upon local rents, I think I can get it for about $950 a month on the total payments. All right, bouncing into this one, $6,000 on the purchase, $2,000 in repairs, $8 grand all in. $29,000 on the resale with $3,000 down gets me to $26,000 financed. I have same scenario as before. I'm just going through with different numbers. Term, 5 years at 6%, $539 a month is what my monthly payment will be. $425 a month is my lot rent. $964 is my total payment. Let's plug that into a 10B2 with you real quick. All right, I'm going to pop open my 10B2 here. All right, as you can see here, I got the 10B2 right there. What is this? How much did I finance? How much did I finance? I financed $26,000. So I'll type in $26,000 in my 10B2, and then I will click the button PV. That's present value. All right, $26,000 in my present value. What interest rate am I offering? 6%. So I'll type 6, and then I'll hit IYR. That's 6%. My monthly payments didn't change. I'm still at 5 years, which is 60 equal payments. I'll put 60 into the in field up in the top right here. So 60 in there, 6% on IYR, 26,000 on PV, and then I'll hit the payment button, and I'll see that update to $502.65 per month. For some reason, that is not what's showing up here on my slides. Either way around, calculator's right, my slides are wrong, but there you go. $502.65 a month is what I'm looking at right there. All right, so at $502.65 per month, I'll take 502. I'll just call it let's call it $500 a month. $500 a month times 12 months is how much money? $6 grand. $500 times 12 months, $6 grand. So if I take $6 grand and I divide 6,000 by my all-in cost, which I'm all in $8,000, but then I got a down payment of $3,000 almost immediately, so my exposed capital is $5 grand. If I'm looking at exposed capital of $5 grand, 6,000 divided by 5,000 equals 1.2, which is the equivalent of 120% cash-on-cash return. Now that shows 129%. Apparently I got some math wrong somewhere between the slides in my calculator, but that's how I'm doing the math. I hope that makes sense. Okay, scenario 3. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be answering questions as I move along. If you do ask questions, try to be as specific as possible. It's like, hey, I'm looking at scenario 1 and I got this value. What did I do wrong? That helps me out versus just like, hey, I typed in this number and I got this. And I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about. You're going to need to give me some context in the questions that you're asking. All right, scenario 3. Got a nice one at $14,000. I offer them $12,000. They accept, so I'm all into it for $12,000. Walking the unit, it's a nice unit, nice schools, doesn't need any repairs. Based on the parks, I think I can rent the thing for $1,300 a month total. All right, $12,000 purchase, no repairs, $12,000 all in, $40K on the resale, $40K on the resale, $5,000 down, $35,000 financed, terms 4 years at 9%, $871 per month for the lot rent, or excuse me, the mobile home payment, $425 a month for the lot rent. Total payment $1,296 per month. Okay? If I'm talking too fast, let me slow it down for you. I'm going to plug all this in my 10B2 calculator. All right, how many months of payments are we going to receive? 4 years times 12 months, 48 months worth of payments. So if I come back over here, 48 months, I type that into my in field on my 10B2, that's good. My interest rate was 9%, so I type 9, place 9 into IYR, that's good. PV should be $35,000. Present value, $35,000. Payment, $870.98. $870.98. Rounded up, $871 per month. So there's my monthly payment for my note. Let's take a look at that now. If I take 871 times 12, that's $10,452 a year that asset is generating. If I take 10,800 or 10,452 and I divide that by my cash into the deal, which should be right at 12,000 minus the down payment, which is $7,000. That is a 149% cash on cash return. That is not bad. That is not bad at all. So, that is the simple math for mobile homes. If you're getting that, great. If you're not, comments, man. Comments. That's about the best I can do for you. I know this might get a little difficult. If you shortchanged yourself and you didn't go watch the Grant Kemp series on the 10B2 calculator and you start asking me questions below, I'm going to know it. So I'm going to be damned if I'm going to sit here and answer questions for you that are already answered somewhere else. Go watch the Grant Kemp video and watch this again if you haven't done it. But if you've watched the Grant Kemp video and you've watched this video and you're still struggling to figure it out, drop some questions below and I'll do what I can to make sure that I get you over that hump. All right, some homework that you're going to need to do. Try and find some local homes for sale in your area and apply this method to these homes. Remember, the higher the purchase price, the lower your cash on cash will be, and you can handle a larger volume of deals. The deals that you're going to find where you can get all in less than $8,000, $10,000 are not going to be common. They're possible. You know, doing 10 of them a year should not be a problem at all. But to do any large volume, let's say you want to do 10 this month, not very likely. You're going to have to take smaller returns by buying more expensive units. Okay? But what I want you to do is just go out and find a home that's for sale and just start running this. Like if I know it's for sale and it's in 76016. Well, I'm going to see what homes and apartments rent for in that area. I'm going to try and figure out what I think I can sell mine for on payments. And then I'll start playing with the numbers so that way I can get a feel for that process. Try at least 3 to determine the total payment terms and cash on cash, and post your results in the comments below. If I see a bunch of people watching this video and I don't see any posts in the comments below, you're not doing your homework. And if you're not doing your homework, you're failing. Figure this stuff out. It's good stuff. This is how I got out of the rat race. This is exactly how I got out of the rat race. I got rid of all of my liabilities, sold my house, sold all my cars, took all that cash that I had, bought as many mobile homes as I can, and I personally moved myself into a mobile home that I paid $1,200 for. And by paying $1,200 for that mobile home, eliminating my liabilities, and then acquiring a bunch of cash flowing notes generated from mobile homes, guess what? I'm no longer in the rat race. That's my 2 cents. Have a wonderful day. Comments below. Propelio Academy, propelio.com for all your lead lists, websites, comps, driving for dollars apps, all those fun things. Propelio.com. Have a good day.